This morning's plenary session begins with a research report on the true impacts of late deliverables to construction. Recognizing the potential risks and disruptive impacts of late deliverables, Research Team 300 has developed the Late Deliverables Risk Catalog, a tool used for employee training, risk identification, and communication between stakeholders to reduce the occurrence and lessen the impacts of late deliverables. Our presenter is J.D. Slaughter, Vice President of B Engineers and Constructors. Please welcome J.D. Slaughter.
Yes, this is Research Team 300, the true impacts of late deliverables to construction. This is a joint project with the CII and CURT, Construction Users Roundtable. The team is comprised of 7 owner representatives, 7 contractor representatives, and 3 academic team members. So why is this project important? Well, as you know, as yesterday's 1010 presentation and previous CURT conferences you may have attended, projects are still underperforming expectations. Best practice implementation is low. And as we drill down, the understanding of the far-reaching impacts to construction, already a very complex environment, from late deliverables is not well understood or communicated. Therefore, alignment between owners and contractors, and even within each organization, can be improved. You know, personally, my passion for improving the understanding of how these issues impact construction is how it leads to increased risk to our workers in the field. Within our company, historically, 70% of our safety instances are due to rework, out-of-plan work, or unplanned work. So first, audience participation. Take a look at this picture. I know you've been staring at it for like a couple minutes. By show of hands, who thinks this is due to a late pipe support delivery to the field? What about a design error by engineering? Look at all the hands go up. Look at that. What about a construction error? That never happens, right? At this point, do we know? But for me, this looks like increased risk to our workers. So the essential question is, what are the true impacts? We've divided the impacts into the normal 4 pillars that you'd expect: safety, quality, cost, and schedule. We've also added a 5th, organizational capacity, that covers the soft issues such as teamwork, morale, team alignment, company or home office alignment, relationships, and resource pressures. The research was performed in 3 tracks: the type of late deliverables, how projects were affected, and some lessons learned and recommendations. Now, take a look at this photo. What issues do you see in this one? And this is from an actual project from one of our team members. Well, in this case, late valve delivery caused the necessity of spacers to be fabricated to keep pipe progress. Also, late seal drawings postponed paving to be placed. And of course, this pushes I&E back as usual, right? During this process, we used the collective knowledge of the group and developed cause and effect diagrams to help us develop the late deliverable categories and the associated impacts. That chart grew in size and complexity to the point it began to manifest itself into a really useful tool. Also, over 350 questionnaires and surveys were taken of CII and CURT members. The breadth of this research resulted in data compiled by our graduate student for use in further qualifying impacts. We then compiled and formalized these definitions, and this was a significant effort. We ended up with 5 pillars, 10 late deliverable categories, and 24 impact categories. The team members offered up problem projects for in-depth case studies. The items in the column highlighted in right are the late deliverable categories, and each case study covers at least 1 late deliverable category. These case studies further aided us in understanding the various impacts to late deliverables to the job site. And here's a brief snapshot of the results of our research. For projects that experienced late deliveries to the field, 81% of projects saw impact to their critical path schedules. 100% of respondents said there was some level of reactionary mode during the project. And for me, this is significant because reactionary mode is not conducive to lean construction or safe execution. 78% of the projects saw an impact to their overall cost, and of those projects, 55% of the respondents had inadequate contingency to cover these late deliverable impacts. And the questionnaire results show similar perception between owner and contractor of the impact of these 5 pillars. Organizational capacity stands out as an important impact to both owners and contractors, approximately equal to the cost impact. Another surprising result to our team was a lower impact ranking of the safety pillar. This result showed us that there's a disconnect in the understanding of safety impacts caused by late deliverables. And here's the common human resources added due to late deliverables. And as you can see here, the second highest resource added due to late deliverables was safety personnel. This suggests to our group that project teams are attempting to mitigate safety risks by adding personnel to the site, confirming our belief that there's a correlation between increased safety risk and late deliverables. We also plotted late deliverables by commonality and severity. Now, this may come as a surprise to some of you, but late engineering was number 1 on our chart. But truthfully, if we focus at prevention of late deliverables on the top right quadrant we've identified in our 240 surveys, we'll have a huge improvement in predictability of our projects. But we also cannot ignore some of the less common but severe deliverable impacts. And for me, the one that sticks out is project execution planning. In my experience, it's one point that's absolutely preventable. An example of this category would be the integration of engineering and construction detailed schedules. When late or not done at all, there's no certainty in execution. Finally, a risk factor was developed based on the product of the commonality and severity of these impacts, and were plotted separately for both owners and contractors. And as you can see here, alignment between the two groups is fairly good, especially in organizational capacity related fields such as on and off-site dynamics, management and supervisory work, and engineering and design work. And also it was in measured field-related data for projects such as turnover, rework, productivity, and downtime. But where there can be improvement in our alignment is in non-measured field-related issues, such as the impacts to overtime and shift work, craft density, work relocation and resequencing. And as I mentioned before, and was even mentioned by Jen last night, rework is increased risk and decreases morale. Using this wealth of empirical data, including case studies, questionnaires, surveys, and the 324 years of collective team experience, we built a database of approximately 600 late deliverable impact descriptions. And from this, we've developed a resource that can be used to assist the user in predicting potential impacts to various late deliverables. We call it the Late Deliverable Risk Catalog, or the LDRC. This resource can be used in identifying and mitigating potential risks, organized by deliverable, categorical impact, and pillar. Multiple deliverables can be selected by pillar, and the catalog will list potential impacts and associated case studies. Definitions for each late deliverable and impact are included in the resource by clicking the information button adjacent to the term. We expect the resource to assist in not only predicting impacts, but as an educational tool to mitigate these risks from occurring in the first place. Specifically, our team identified the following recommended uses: project risk assessment, dispute prevention and resolution, knowledge sharing and transfer, which is real important nowadays, and assisting in the development of lessons learned. A detailed demo of the Late Deliverable Risk Catalog will be given during the implementation session. The RT300 team expects the greater awareness will foster greater focus on and understanding of the impact of late deliverables, ensuring that engineering, procurement, contracting, logistics, business management, and other construction supporting functions understand the critical importance of their on-schedule performance. And earlier and more comprehensive actions are taken to mitigate the full range of risks that arise when late deliverable event occurs. and alignment improves between owner and contractor teams and even within project teams. Our reports are available now for download from the CII store. So remember this photo? What do you think their impacts to these 5 pillars might be? Do you see any safety concerns here? You think it's going to be more difficult managing quality expectations? You think this is the most cost-effective execution method? You know, the work plan looks pretty complicated. I imagine they're going to be pouring their concrete at night, placing the concrete. And what about organizational capacity concerns? How's this affecting your home office? Or what about the site? The guy on the left didn't look like he's too happy. His head's all down, right? If you've had any of these concerns for your project, come to our implementation session. At our implementation session overview, our group will talk in more detail about their data and analysis, presentation of the team tool, and lessons learned. Attend our session to increase your awareness of the impacts of late deliverables to construction so that you may better communicate and even mitigate these issues from occurring on your projects. Thank you.